this week I got to meet with our Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. So I got to meet with him and talk with him. He gave a good speech, and what I liked about his speech in the end was he's talking about the spiritual crisis that America is facing, and he talked about First Chronicles 7:14 and how it's about how Christians, how believers, how the children of God in America need to pray for this nation. And I really appreciated his words. And he also talked about his decision for Christ, his dedication of his life to Jesus Christ, his spiritual journey. So I appreciated what he had to say. He also, I don't know if I have them all in the video, but Ernest Bales and Janice Holt, but especially Ernest Bales was there. And he made some subtle attacks on Ernest Bales during the course of his speech. But we need to pray for our leaders, especially people who are doing the right thing, like Dan Patrick, like Ken Paxton. And we need to all get involved, pray for your nation, pray for revival, but also vote for godly candidates. Now, Ernest Bales voted to impeach Ken Paxton. Why? Because you have this cabal of rhinos, the Bush dynasty. You have these people who claim to be Republicans but are not, but are Democrats running on the Republican ticket, like the Bush dynasty, and they're trying to continue their hold on power, and they wanted to do that by bringing in George P. Bush, and a real conservative, a true conservative, Ken Paxton, won, and they had to punish him for that. The real reason why, and he talks about in the video, go back and watch that video, the Biden administration felt threatened by Ken Paxton because he was aggressively pushing back the disastrous policies of the Biden administration. He was taking them to court, and he was winning. They needed him taken out of the fight. So Republicans who didn't want him in the power in the first place, the Bush dynasty, and other left-wing Republicans, they wanted to take out Ken Paxton. But he was able to overcome, and he mentioned that what he was saying is they're trying to get him to resign, and he wouldn't do it. He stood firm, and he prevailed, thank God. And now we need to punish the people who did this wickedness. So we need to support Ken Paxton. We also need to support Dan Patrick. And when I talked to Dan Patrick, I mentioned, I want you to go look at this. Just recently, he gave a very good interview with Dinesh D'Souza talking about the conservative agenda and the border crisis. So I had a nice, good conversation with Dan Patrick. So watch this speech by him, and especially look at the spiritual content of it, because I think he's right on line. We need to get back to God. Americans, Christians in America, evangelical Christians, conservative Christians, need to get right with God, pursue his face, and the Lord will hear our prayers and save our nation. It's on us, really. It's on us. So I want to pray that you'd listen to what he has to say and reflect on it, and let's apply these principles to save America and to make America great again. So thank you, and God bless you.
Good evening, Saints County. It's so good to be here for a whole host of reasons. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate it. Governor, we have a real treat here being here tonight. I want to tell you why. We were texting on the way when I was driving over here, and I was saying this is a red meat county. And I did not know. I said I was going to text you that it was an 83% county. It's my redness county. But Dwayne here corrected me, and it's an 89% Republican county. Governor Patrick, you wouldn't believe, but they flipped this county from a Democrat to a Republican county in 2015. It was all Democrat before that. So we have a treat here to be before you tonight. I am your state senator, Senator Charles Schwerner. I'd like to introduce my wife, Belinda Schwerner. Belinda is an obstetrician gynecologist, but she's also a recent graduate of UT Law. So she is, but most importantly, she's the mother of our three sons, Carson, Zachary, and Matthew, who are 21, 22, and 23. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing tonight a person that has three hats. He is
my goal is for you to be standing when I leave. That's the goal. That's my report card. So the governor of California, I love the crowd already. He's out for a jog with his dog, and a coyote runs out. You already know the story? You already know?
No.
And coyote kills the dog, bites him on the hand. First thing he thinks of is Bambi. Says, that coyote just don't know what he should do. Calls the animal control department. They come out and they track down the coyote, and they charge the state $500 to do that. And then they relocate the coyote, and they charge $1,000 to do that. And then the governor calls the veterinarian. He comes up to check if there's any diseases in the dog, and he charges them $300 for that. Then the governor goes to the hospital, and they wrap his hand where he was bit and check him for every disease possible, and that's $3,500. And then they shut down the jogging trail for 6 months. And the Fish and Wildlife Department decided to spend $100,000 to clear the entire area of dangerous animals. The governor then created a $250,000 grant to warn the people of dangerous coyotes. And the legislature, in their wisdom, Charles, spent $2 million on finding a cure for rabies. And the security officer with the governor was fired, and they spent $150,000 to train a new security agent with special emphasis on coyote attacks. Texas. The governor is jogging with his dog and sees a coyote. He pulls a state-issued revolver from his boot, shoots the coyote. Total cost is 50 cents for one hollow shell cartridge. He keeps jogging, the dog follows him, and the buzzards eat the coyote. And that's why California is broke and we are not. No, that's a somewhat true story, by the way. Rural America, who will save our country? I can tell you, and you all know this is the America right here that all America used to be. God, country, family. No one in that universe tells their son to go and join the girls' baseball team or softball team, okay? This is America. And when you see Bill Hemmer in front of that red map on Fox News, notice Ohio is all red except Cleveland and Cincinnati. North Carolina is all red except Raleigh and Charlotte. Georgia is all red except Atlanta and Savannah. And Texas is all red except Houston and Dallas and San Antonio and Austin. That's the map. When you see those maps after elections, they're pretty much all red. It's the coast and some of these cities in the middle. So I did my 133 city bus tour back in 2022 when I ran, the last time we ran. And I went to rural Texas. We started at the top of the Panhandle. We ended up in the valley. We came through here. I ended up in Baytown was our last stop, and all through central Texas. I went to rural Texas. Now, why did I go? Because every time I got off the bus, first of all, most people had never seen a statewide candidate come into their small towns and small counties. That's true. And they said, we're going to vote for you, Abbott and Patrick. Why are you here? I said, I'm here because I know we'll get 89% of the vote. I know we'll get 75% of the vote in the various counties. Because we average about 76 in the rural counties. I said, but it's the turnout that's important. It's good to get 89%, but if only half the registered Republicans vote, that hurts us. Because the big votes come in Harris County, Travis County, Bexar County, and Dallas County. And it's easier for them to gather up people and put them on a bus in a congested area. Just go up to an apartment building or go to a church that's got 1,000 folks, and they bus them to the polls. So what I want you to know, take one thing away tonight, is how important you are in the mosaic of saving Texas from turning blue, and the mosaic from saving America, because if we lose Texas, we lose America. Electoral votes, if you get those electoral votes and have New York and California, Democrats can't be defeated. They have the White House for the rest of history. So sometimes, and I talk to a lot of people who say, well, my vote doesn't matter, county's going to carry it. No. It makes all the difference in the world to really drive the turnout. Because out of our 254 counties, 19 are blue, and that's 50% of the vote. 235 are red, 50% of the vote. So if they turn out more in their 19th, and you turn out in the 235, we lose. And Donald Trump knows that very well. I talked to the president this week. We talk on a regular basis. And he understands the importance of rural America and rural Texas. And he loves Texas. And let me tell you what, this guy loves Texas. And everything we stand for. And I don't think, and I've always been a fan of Ronald Reagan, still a Ronald Reagan fan, I don't think we've ever had a greater president or a more conservative president than Donald Trump.
That's right.
I don't think it's ever happened.
That's right.
And let me tell you why they hate him so much. The left hates him so much because, make no mistake, this is no hyperbole. The Marxist socialist left have been on the march in this country while a lot of us were napping for decades. Their goal was three-pronged school to take America. Number one, take over the education system. They've taken over higher ed, and we're fighting back. We are reforming tenure. We are getting rid of DEI on the campuses. We're getting rid of ESG on the campuses. And we told the universities, if you don't do it, we're going to cut your funding. No nonsense. And they worked their way into K through 12 over the years. Homeschoolers have grown from about 350,000 to 700,000 in the last 5 years in Texas. Because people during COVID saw what was going on and they didn't like it. Now, my wife was a longtime teacher. How many teachers in here? 3 teachers. We had great teachers in Texas. Great teachers, about 365,000. We have 9,000 campuses and 1,200 school districts. We have 5.5 million kids in public school. That's more kids in school than half the states have people. It's a massive system. And in any massive system, whether it's a company or whether it's government, you're going to have the great, mostly good, and some bad. And where the bad is where the parents are pulling their kids out. And it's one of the reasons the governor's going around the state pushing for school choice. We passed out of the Senate 5 times. We've never gotten a vote in the House until this year, and it failed by 13 votes. And it's simple parental rights. Parental rights. I have been on the board of a group called Be an Angel. It's the only board I've served on since 1988. And we focus on children with disabilities. And I'm proud to say I've raised $20 million for them during that time. Why? Because some public schools do a great job handling children with disabilities. Other schools just don't have the training of the teachers. So a parent with a disabled child has a right to get their child into the best school for them. A parent who has a child that's being bullied for whatever reason it is has a right to pick another school. A parent who has a child in a failing school has a right. And this talk, by the way, of school choice, which is now in 33 states, is going to end public schools is not true. And I'll just give you the facts.
Right.
We spend half of our state budget on public education. 5.5 million kids. And this year our budget is $39 billion. On top of the $57 billion that you pay in school property taxes. By the way, we cut your school property tax, check your bill this year by 40%. You'll see it. It is the biggest item we spend money on in the state. Our school choice program is $500 million for 50,000 kids. So 50,000 kids, $500 million is 1% of $39 billion. So it's we don't look. I'm the biggest public school choice advocate here. We've raised teacher pay since I came to Lieutenant Governor. We've increased public school spending this session alone 12%. We're all in, but parents deserve to have a choice, and so that's why the governor's going around the state, and that's why I'm supporting it. We've supported it for a long time. We just think it's the right. And by the way, the average state, only 3% of parents opt for school choice. Why? Because most schools are good. Most schools in Texas are good. A lot of them are great. Our teachers are great. But where it's needed, it's needed. And 3 to 4% may decide to opt that out. Because parents say, we like our school, and our kids say they don't want to leave their friends. So I just want to be clear, because there's a lot of misinformation. We're not trying to undermine the public school system at all. It's not even possible. Not even possible. It's not even the goal. It's for those unique situations. So we're in a fight. We're in a fight for the future of Texas because the leftist Marxists went after education, and they pretty much achieved that in higher ed, and we're fighting them on K through 12. The next thing they had to do, take over the media. Any questions? They don't control the media? MSNBC and CNN are nothing but propaganda arms. No different than Pravda in Russia for Putin. The incredible things they say on MSNBC and CNN, it's just, and John Pierre, the press secretary, is, she'll get a job over there like Pensaki did when she does. The third leg of the stool was what? The Supreme Court. You get the education system, you get the media, you get the Supreme Court. It wouldn't make any difference what legislation we passed, the Supreme Court would overturn it. Had Hillary Clinton won the election, instead of a 6-3 conservative court today, and John Roberts is kind of iffy, it would be a 6-3 liberal court. And they would take away your rights for freedom of religion. They would take away your Second Amendment rights.
Right.
They would take more and more of your money through taxes. They would take everything you leave to your families, family farm, family businesses, any money you have, through inheritance tax. They would do it all. They couldn't believe Hillary Clinton could be Donald Trump. They put it in their pocket. In 40 years of trying to take over America, he stopped. He stopped. And I believe that this November, he's going to have a massive victory because America is fed up with the progressive woke left. And America is now winning. I talked to him Monday, a few weeks ago, in Iowa. He called me about something. We're always doing business in Texas because we're so big in Texas. He was in such a great mood. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. He already knew he was going to win in a landslide, which he did. And I just can't imagine America will turn out and vote for Joe Biden. In fact, I'll be shocked if he's still on the ballot. Democrats are going to work hard to replace him. Because how can America vote for a man who ends every speech like this?
Yeah. Shaking hands with the ghost. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Do you remember the movie, are any of you old enough to remember the Jimmy Stewart movie, Harvey? You know Jimmy Stewart.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life.
Right.
You sleep, Mr. Paul. You know Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart, for those of you who don't know that movie, Harvey, had a big invisible rabbit. Remember? Now, I'm not making this up. I told you everything tonight's the truth. From the heart. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, was at the Rose Garden last year at Easter, and he was talking to the media, and they couldn't pull him away. They sent over a big white rabbit. You remember that picture?
Yes.
That was Harvey. That's Harvey. I have 8 grandchildren. When I need to get their attention and get them to listen, I give them a stuffed animal. They gave him a big stuffed animal that day. Mr. President, come over here. Oh yes, sure, I got a big white rabbit. The border. Last Friday, Governor Abbott was in India for 10 days. I was very happy about his trip, and here's the reason. You may not know this, but every House member, every senator, and myself, because they consider me in the legislative branch, even though I'm in the executive branch, I get paid like they do. $600 a month. That's what we make. What do you applaud that for? What do you... My God. There are months when we have to write a check back to cover our insurance. Now, we all know that going in. It's one of the reasons we have significant turnover after about 6 years, because if it's a man, the wife says, hey, honey, this $600 a month isn't working. You're never here. And if it's a woman, honey, I just can't keep doing all these PTA meetings. You need to come back. My show only making $7,000 a year. So, but so I get that state salary. And when Abbott's out of the state, or out of the country, then I'm acting governor, and I get his salary. So his trip to India netted me $4,000. A good week, Charles. No, I didn't want to go with, so he's Senator Pro Tem. So he's now, if I'm out, he takes my place. So he just said I should have gone with him. You hear that? You're pretty quick. So, there was one time, this is just a side story since you brought that up. So there was one weekend in July a couple of years ago, and I get a note from Abby, he was going to be out, so I know. Well, I was going to be out. So then it falls to the Attorney General, he was going to be out. And then it falls to the Speaker of the House, oh my God. Sorry. He wasn't there. Thank you, Jesus. He wasn't there. And then, sorry, Ernest. And then it falls to one of the Supreme Court justices. And I'm not making this up. He wasn't there. The next one wasn't there. It fell to the third one. So this is like 8 down the line. Let me get this up. So when I'm governor, and he travels sometimes on the weekends, Saturdays, the trash man. So Saturdays, if I'm governor, I will go out, true story, and I will take the cans in for my neighbors, and I will put a note on it. Not every day the governor of Texas brings in your trash can. So the judge calls me, and we were in Disney World, and I said, Judge, she said, is there anything? I mean, she was like last minute to go. I said, anything? I said, yeah, hopefully nothing goes wrong. We can be back in a hurry if it does. But why don't you bring in the trash cans for your neighbor? And she kind of was like silent. I said, no. It'll really be fun. They'll remember the rest of their lives. Take a picture. I don't know if she did, but Charles, if you're ever, in for me, and you're governor, and it's a Saturday, bring in the cans. Okay, there you go. It's important. Picking up the trash is important. Where was I? Oh, so Abbott's in India, and sometimes when he's been gone, some really tough stuff has happened that we've had to handle. But I was just, hoping it'd be a peaceful week. And then the Supreme Court ruled that they could cut the wire. That was like Thursday last week, or a week and a half ago. And I knew he wasn't coming back till Sunday night. And then they said they're going to, remember Friday? Biden said we're going to come down to the border and we're going to cut the wire. And I said, I got to be with our troops. I mean, because if I were the full-time governor, that's where I'd be. So I went down to Shelby Park. Didn't know what was going to happen that day. And you probably saw a lot of those clips from the interviews and read it over and over and over on Fox. But we have the finest men and women in the National Guard and our state troopers. And I probably shook hands with 150 of them down there. And I would say, who's been here the longest? They've been here a year. One of them had been here a year. And they go home 1 weekend a month. It's tough, dude. And the fact that we have to spend $4 billion in our budget of your taxpayer money to do the job that Joe Biden is not doing is disgraceful. And I've told the president, the new incoming president, I said, President Trump, when you get in office, I'm going to send you a bill for about $11 billion because that's what we had to spend during Biden's time. And I think we're going to get a chip back. We deserve it. And so they didn't come. And look, let's be very clear. We didn't want a confrontation. They didn't want a confrontation. And I said on Fox, I said, I looked at the camera, I said, Mr. President, if you're watching, do you really want to send down the Border Patrol or U.S. Marshals and face off against our National Guard and our troopers? Of course not. Nobody wanted that. And I didn't think that would happen. And it didn't happen. And by that afternoon, they said that they weren't going to come and cut the wire. So Texas stood up to them, and the bill that Senator Schwertner mentioned, Senate Bill 4, which I wrote most of that bill with the governor, came over from the House and will be totally rewritten. And we hope that's the bill that goes to the Supreme Court and allows us to act as Border Patrol agents and defend our own border constitutionally. We believe we're being invaded. There's no question we're being invaded, and we believe we have the right to defend Texas. So we are in this fight, money, marbles, and chalk. And I told President Biden through Fox News, you send wire cutters down, we have a lot more wire than you have wire cutters. And we do. I will heal their land and forgive them of their sins. I used to think, folks, my people who are called by my name, I used to think that those were Americans. They're not. They're Christians. That's his people. Because we know not every American believes in the Word of God. We know that not every American believes in that flag. So my people, and I'm a late bloomer, I found Christ. I mean, I was baptized in my 20s. I mean, I was baptized as a kid, but that didn't take. I was baptized in my 20s. That kind of took sometimes. You know? Any pastor will tell you. How many pastors in the room? How many pastors will tell you people get on fire for Jesus, and 3 months later the fire goes out, right? Right. But it really stuck with me in my early 40s, and I made a full commitment to Jesus Christ as my Savior, and I've been focused on that. And I know not everyone's there. I'm not here to preach, but if you're not there, spend some quiet time and try to get there. The Bible stands for basic information before leaving Earth, okay? A lot to say about that. But we are the people in this country. My people, the Christians in this country, will save this nation and thereby save the world. God came to bring peace amid chaos. The socialist Marxist left who hate God and don't want God, they want government to be God, they're all about chaos. Chaos on the border, chaos in the stock markets, chaos in the economy, chaos in inflation, chaos in our military, chaos in Afghanistan, chaos, boys playing girls sports, chaos everywhere. Chaos in the streets by George Soros judges who let murderers run wild. That's the battle we're in. So if my people who are called by my name will pray, I will hear them from heaven. So pray for your own family. Pray for Texas. Pray for America. Ask to be forgiven of your sins and ask Him to heal our land. If we do that, we will be victorious. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful and very blessed to be your Lieutenant Governor. God bless everyone.